Hey guys, Project Zodiac here. I'm back with another video. So this is my second part of my Spider-Man video thing that I've been wanting to do. Um, just because I have a lot of things to do, a lot of projects to work on, and a whole bunch of other things in general to do, like work. Like I have two jobs, and then I also work my projects, all that stuff. I've just been really busy, and I've been wanting to do this video and the one that I posted not too long ago um, for a while. There's two other Spider-Man videos I wanted to do, but for those ones, they're both like defending series, kind of like what I did with defending Dark Phoenix or defending X-Men Dark Phoenix. So for that, I wanted to be more production rather than just me sitting down and talking. So I'm not gonna do those two other videos for right now. So for my celebrating No Way Home series, Spider-Man No Way Home series, I'm just doing it like this, just me talking with you guys. So again, and like I said in the other video, I'm sorry if the audio is really bad. My camera, which is my phone, is literally like 2 feet in front of me. Um, Probably like 3 feet. I'm not very good with measurements. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of far away, and I don't have a microphone, so I'm sorry about that. But also, I'm not gonna be doing this as a heavy production type thing. This video is gonna be just like the other video, where it's me just sitting down talking with you guys. So if you guys just want to listen to it, that's fine. If you guys want to watch it while listening to it, that's cool. Just be aware that there isn't gonna be any images to go with what I'm talking about. It's literally just gonna be me talking with you guys. So sorry for the lack of production. It's just I'm trying to do these really fast so I can get them uploaded fast so that I can just work on my other projects as well. And this is videos I've been wanting to do for a while. So with the intro out of the way, let's get into this actual video. And this video, I'm basically just going to be explaining why I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man. Um, and this one most likely won't be as long as the other video. But yeah, so for me, I grew up watching all of the Spider-Man movies. So Spider-Man means a lot to me. He's one of my favorite superheroes, and it's just it's kind of picky when you ask somebody their favorite Spider-Man. A lot of people say Tom Holland's the best. For me, he's not, and I go into detail about that in the other video, which is like the problems with Tom Holland Spider-Man or problems with MCU Spider-Man or what MCU Spider-Man is lacking. I don't know the title of that video yet. It's gonna be one of those or something else. Because I'm literally recording this right after recording that. All I had was a temp title. Um, but yeah, so if you want to know why I don't really like Tom Holland's Spider-Man that much, please watch that video, which was the one I uploaded before this one. Um, so yeah, for me, Andrew Garfield is a very good Spider-Man, a good like high school Spider-Man to like young adult Spider-Man. But Tobey Maguire Spider-Man for me is the best like young adult to like adult Spider-Man. And the reason why I think that, or the reason why that's the case for me, is because there's just so much heart in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He goes out of his way to save people just randomly. He goes out of his way to, try to make sure that he's balancing his life. But then there's so much issues and so much problems that happens while he's trying to balance being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Um, then it also shows how the villains that he makes is basically because of his own fault. I would say, I mean, that's kind of true, but also kind of not. Um, in the example for Dr. Octopus, he just wanted to do his thing. Peter goes and shuts it down, and then he keeps getting Doc Ock's way, and then Doc Ock gets pissed, and they become villains until the end. Um, for Green Goblin's case, yeah, for Green Goblin's case, he asks Peter to join him. He says no, and instead of trying to talk with him about calming it down, or not doing what he's doing, they just end up fighting. So he so he created Green Goblin in the sense like instead of he could have just talked with him, and they do that rooftop talk thing, but it could have been done more throughout the movie, you know. So he kind of creates Green Goblin the way that Green Goblin is because of him refusing Green Goblin, but also because he didn't talk with Green Goblin and try to calm him down, even though that most likely definitely would not have worked anyway. So, but um, because of Green Goblin being crazy ish, kind of, yeah, no, the serum messed him up basically. But then you have Venom. He creates Venom and Eddie Brock to hate him because he rejects Venom and because he humiliates Eddie Brock. He creates Sandman being the villain of his own story, even though Sandman was just a criminal. Uh, he became a villain because, you know, he was running away because he ended up killing Uncle Ben by accident. Uncle Ben was only killed because of Peter wanting to go to the wrestling match. And then he creates the new Goblin because Harry finds out that he is Spider Man and wants to enact revenge on him. So it shows perfectly well how all of these villains are villains because of him. And the other Spider-Man movies do that as well, so I'm not gonna say this is exclusive to Tobey Maguire. What I am gonna say though is that they really fleshed out this whole thing, which is really really good. Again, the other ones also do that, but I'm just saying that as a point towards him as well, just like with the other ones. But he also has that charismatic, childlike nature, but at the same time, he's very mature. He knows how to handle things. He knows when to tell jokes. Um, I mean, his jokes aren't as frequent as Andrew Garfield's, and definitely not as frequent as Tom Holland's Spider Man. Again, I have issues with Tom Holland's Spider Man's joke, but again, that's not the problem with Tom Holland. That's the way that they write Spider Man for those movies. I go into more detail with that in the other video. But he still does jokes. He knows when to joke around and he knows when to have fun. So, and he also knows when to be serious about things. He knows when to own up to his mistake and that what the situation he is in is his fault, and he goes out of his way to try and fix it. He knows when to ask for help, but also he knows when he needs to be the one to handle it himself, which is just fantastic. Again, Tom Holland's Spider-Man does not do that. I explained that in the other video. Um, but at the same time, too, like just we see the situations that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is in, and it's literally like real life people who, you know, even movie actors or, um, you know, like politicians or even like just, you know, people in general who have, and I'm saying these examples for this reason. Spider-Man is a public figure. He has his issues. Movie actors, politicians, all of them, they're public figures, but they also have their personal lives. So, in a way, it's kind of like that. Spider Man is the public figure, and Peter has his own personal life. He's human. And it shows that human nature of him being a public figure, but still being human and having his issues. You know, like he has a rundown apartment that the bathroom isn't even in the apartment, it's in the hall, and you know it's tiny, the door is jammed, almost nobody can open that door, and he never has money for rent, he can't hold a job because he has to be Spider-Man. Like it shows all of these things so good, and then like the whole issues with his relationships, you know, his best friend like being mad at him thinking that he killed his dad, the girl that he loves doesn't understand why he's not there, and then she finds out that he's Spider-Man, and she has to balance understanding what she wants, who she loves, and who she loves being who he is. You know, in like in Spider-Man 3, they did such a good job at kind of like balancing the love aspect of knowing who you are and then like having to understand that and work with that. And sometimes it's complicated for you, but you love the person and you try to fix it, or you try to understand it. Like that's what Spider-Man 3 was showing in terms of Mary Jane and Peter. So like it really focuses so good on that. And Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man also did that, um, but not to the extent that I think it did with Spider-Man 3. Just because it really, really shows the accumulation of what it means to be a superhero, and here's everything that comes with that. All of these consequences in your personal life and in your public figure life. So they do that so good. They also, like Tobey Maguire himself as Spider-Man, he looks like Peter Parker. Um, and he's very humble as Peter Parker, and his Peter Parker tries to help people, like I said earlier, and it's just so well done. He also ends up just, you know, really taking a beating. Like those movies really show how much he has to go through with these villains and how much he suffers being Spider-Man. In terms of like these guys are strong. Like even in Spider-Man 3, he fights the Sandman and he's like, what the hell? Like where do all these guys come from? Like they're all just super powered and like they keep beating the crap out of me. But and like it just shows that he knows how to take a beating, but he keeps getting back up and he keeps trying to do right. Again, a lot of what I'm saying does apply to the other Spider-Mans as well, but the same Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies just captured all of this so perfectly, like so well. Um, the only thing I would say that the Amazing Spider-Man did better would be his conflict with people, like with Aunt May, and like he comes home all beaten up a lot, and she's like, "What is going on?" Like I just love that scene so much, because that happens like 2 times in that first movie. I just wish that there was a couple of scenes like that in the same Raimi's Tobey Maguire trilogy, because it's just so well done. But we do have equivalents of that, of him showing up late for everything, him not being able to tell people things, and all those conflicts. So there's some balance with that. Um, and really, just the suit design itself as well for me is my favorite. It just looks like a realistic suit. It doesn't look CGI like the MCU Spider-Man suit does. Um, I mean, yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man suit is more homemade, and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit is more technically accurate, but I don't like the eyes on that suit. It's way too big. Even though I know that some comic artists draw Spider-Man's eyes big, but anyway, the Tobey Maguire suit is just perfect. It's literally perfect, and I just love how there are moments where the blue in the suit, when it's like in a sunny scene, you can see the blue, but then when it's like not so, like if the sun's not shining directly on it, you still, it's like a darker blue. But then like if he's in a shadow, then it looks black. Like that's just so good, because in the comics it's kind of like that too. Um, so I don't know. I just love every aspect of these movies and the way that this Spider-Man is, because it just really fits with the whole vibe of him trying to keep his secret, but then everything around him is like a little weird, kind of like in the dinner scene, Thanksgiving dinner scene from Spider-Man 1. Norman Osborn is looking at him and he's like, where did you get this cut? And he's like, I fell when an old lady was beating me trying to get these cranberries. Like it's he's making a joke without them realizing that he's joking, because he's lying to them. But it's moments like that where he has to like hide it from everybody. But then Norman remembers that Spider-Man was cut there, and he's like, "You're Spider-Man." So then he leaves early. But it's just moments like that that really just shows like Peter being quirky, because in the comics he is quirky a little bit, but he's also really mature and very like hard-headed as well, and kind of stubborn and a little rude in certain parts, from what I've read so far. Like I'm in issue 190 of the Amazing Spider-Man comics, which is the original comics. Um, so yeah, like literally, I think that they just put so much care into these movies, and I'm trying to really focus on just Peter Parker and Spider-Man and how Tobey Maguire is the best one, but there's just so much to say about those movies that it just there's just so much charm to them and so much good and right. Um, Sam Raimi, who directed those movies, is even a huge Spider-Man fan. So he really, I personally think he really captured Spider-Man perfectly. Even where he lives, it looks like where it's in the comics. Um, just the situation itself of like his home situation, it's fantastic. And the story was really about it was always about just Peter being Spider-Man, and that's what's just so good about it. It's Peter as Spider-Man and his life as Spider-Man. In the Amazing Spider-Man, it was about Peter trying to understand what happened with his dad and how he's Spider-Man. It wasn't really about him. It wasn't really a story about him as Spider-Man. There was more to it, um, and that's fine. But the nature of having the series itself have the focus of Peter being Spider-Man and that's his life and the things he goes through with it is what should always be the focus in a Spider-Man movie. Adding extra things like the mystery about his dad and the spider, that's fine, but they went way too hard in that, and they just didn't really. I don't know. Like a lot of people didn't like the resolution towards it. Um, I thought it was fine, but I just feel like it didn't focus too much on Peter being Spider Man, but Peter being Spider Man trying to figure out his dad thing, you know? Um, and the MC, which is fine again, it's fine. But it stretched across the two movies rather than in one movie, um, which I think would have been a little bit better if they like set it up a little bit in one movie but have the focus of it being in another movie rather being across two movies, because they did do similar things in Tobey Maguire's trilogy where they set a couple things up and then resolved it in the third one, um, but it was actual progress. It wasn't like the whole plot of everything. um, I think that makes more sense than what I'm trying to say. And whereas in the MCU Spider-Man movies, it's not even about Peter being Spider-Man. It's literally about Spider-Man in the MCU, and that's it. Like that's it. So that's why I'm very excited for No Way Home because I feel like No Way Home is gonna fix that a little bit. Um, so hopefully it will be a movie about Spider-Man, Peter being Spider-Man, which is what I'm hoping for. But I mean that's the biggest charm of the original trilogy and that why I think that Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man, because it was him fully embracing that character and understanding the world that they were in and what they were doing and how grounded and realistic it was, and still funny and still cheesy and still fun, you know, and still brutal and violent. Like it had everything to be like the perfect Spider-Man. And it like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man literally, like I said, the biggest charm is that if it was a story of Peter being Spider-Man at its the center of everything, it's Peter being Spider-Man, and that's what is needed for all of these movies. um, so yeah, there's a lot more I can say, but this video is already going on too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. um, I'm really excited for No Way Home, and I hope it fixes a bunch of issues I have with the MCU Spider-Man, which again, check out that video I made. But yeah, I just love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So anyway, I'll let you guys know what I think about No Way Home. I think that'll be the first movie review I'll do on this channel too. Um, so anyway, guys, rate, comment, subscribe. Um, Sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. I was going to say something else, but rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.